Hey everyone, it's me, Maracuya, and I just actually wanted to talk about something that my podcast is about, and one of them is something that comes with anxiety, and it's called trichotillomania, or as us that suffer from it, it's called trick, but it's trichotillomania. So if I look it up in a scientific journal, it says trichotillomania is a hair-pulling disorder that's often a debilitating psychiatric condition characterized by recurrent pulling out of one's own hair, leading to hair loss and marked functional impairments. Another journal says trichotillomania. In its general description, obsessive-compulsive disorder is just as the name states. Let's see, where individuals fail to resist urges to pull out hair, repetitive pulling out of one's hair leading to hair loss, so things like that. So how do you explain trichotillomania? Let's see. So trichotillomania, I'm going to just call it trick because it's kind of a long word and I trip over my own words. So, okay. So I'm going to kind of tell you when it started. Around when I was 8 years old, like I've mentioned before, ever since I was 8, I've had severe depression, severe I'm going to say I'm just going to be transparent. So severe kind of sexual problems in my head. And this had to do with a bunch of weird movies that I was kind of forced to watch. But that's a whole nother thing. I have many issues, trust me. So anyways, trichotillomania. So when I was in 8th grade, when I was 8 years old, I started kind of pulling random hairs. And what's weird about it is I don't know if it's associated with enjoying the feeling of pain or something like that, almost like masochism, or I probably said that wrong and I'm sorry. But anyways, almost like a very weird small form of self-mutilating. I don't know. So when I was so I did this, but I didn't start off with pulling my hair. I started off with chewing my hair. So I would kind of put my hair in my mouth and chew it. And I know that sounds weird, but I just want to be honest with you. So I would kind of suck on my hair, on a tip, and then kind of chew it. And then later it kind of evolved into hair pulling. So at some point when I was in 5th grade, I actually pulled all my eyelashes out. And I was so embarrassed because my best friend at the time, she noticed. And she was she used to call me Chewy. She's like, Chewy, what did you do? Where are your eyelashes? And I couldn't really explain to her what I did or why. I just knew that I pulled all my eyelashes out and I started on the top of my scalp to the point where I had a little small bald spot on the top. And at that point I knew that something was severely wrong, but my parents were the kind who didn't really believe in anxiety disorders or depression or anything. So I really couldn't go to them for help, and I couldn't go to anybody for help because I had just moved to Texas from Germany and I was brand new. My clothing was horrible. I had no style. I just felt completely like a fish out of water, and it's actually been like that ever since. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing. Trust me, I've got plenty of stories for you. So, of my little dysfunctional life, but I'm here. Why? By the grace of God, by the grace of God, by the grace of God. Because honestly, without God and without that little thread of spider silk thin rope that connected me to heaven, I would not be here today. I would have not been alive. I just would not have survived. I swear I would not be here. And it's only by God's grace and God's forgiveness and even God being there for me when nobody else was. So I'm going to tell you, I'm in my 30s. And it's in my 30s when I fully started realizing my faith and how it affected everything, including my anxiety and stuff like that. So I really wish when I was younger, my parents cared about my mental health, but they didn't. They really were more worried about their career goals or their really strange personal goals and things like that. Keeping the family afloat, alive. I think, the bare minimum is keep the family alive, right? We weren't struggling or anything because my dad was in the military, but they were very focused on other things. But anyway, so I had a lot of things going on in my head. Again, I was forced to watch these weird movies. I had a lot of anxiety. I was only 8 years old, started sucking my hair, chewing my hair, went to pulling my hair, pulled all my eyelashes, and then my scalp too. So yes, so that's kind of how it started. So strangely, it's stayed the same over the years. I am like 35 now. And actually yesterday I had an experience where I wanted to pull my hair again. I was driving home and I was kind of like, so this is how the process works. It's weird, I know, but so I kind of like, with my fingers, I start touching like the top of my scalp and I start looking for like a certain hair that's like wiry or like thick or like curly or something. And then I kind of like stroke it. This sounds really like perverted, but I'm not trying to make it that way. Anyway, so I like touch that hair and then I kind of like judge it. Like, should I pull it? Should I not? Like, I tell myself, well, if it's a fat one, like one of those fat curly ones, yeah, I'll pull it out. And sometimes I can control myself and sometimes I can't. So yesterday, someone messaged me on my Instagram. And again, you can message me anytime at Reformed Eve, REFORMED EVE. And on that Instagram, you can see a bunch of my other podcasts. I have some Christian podcasts as well if you're interested in that. Because that's something that helped me with my trichotillomania. First and foremost, God. But there's also other things that I used with inspiration from God that helped me a lot with the trichotillomania. So even though I do have tendencies, I feel like I have them mostly under control. Except maybe like a month and a half ago, I was kind of pulling a lot. And I think because I was very anxious and I forgot why. I'll remember in a minute, but all right. So, okay. So with the trick, I realized kind of how devastating that it could be. So I started doing some research. I didn't know I had a name until I started like Googling, why do I pull out my hair? And then I started seeing that word, trichotillomania, and I started researching, and I read so many interesting things, different therapies, like every time you feel like the urge to have like a rubber band around your wrist. But anyways, so somebody wrote me yesterday, and they were telling me that they have trichotillomania. They suffer from it since they were 8 years old. They wanted to know how, like, they've been on and off on different things in the past. How can they get better? So this is what I recommend. This is going to be like my prescription. And maybe, this is my prescription to better health or better trichotillomania health. But really overall health for anxiety, because this OCD kind of thing, this thing about picking the right hair and making it the right texture. And then some people some people have even like bitten the root of the hair. I know that sounds weird. And some people have eaten the hair. I haven't gotten to the point where I knowingly ate the hair, but some people actually develop hairballs like in their stomach, which could be dangerous, kind of like cats. So that I forgot that has like a technical name, the hairballs thing. So yeah, but I actually did sometimes bite the root. I know that sounds weird. It's kind of embarrassing talking about, but that's the thing. Like, I feel embarrassed talking about it, but I kind of want to take away the stigma of it because a lot of people suffer secretly and quietly, not knowing what it is, not knowing what's going on, feeling weird, feeling strange, feeling like something's wrong with them. It's a manifestation of anxiety. And to me, anxiety are like things in your head, almost like demons, like demonic forces, like dark things that are trying to overtake you to push you to a point of no return. Why? Because you have a gift, because you are beautiful, because you are a masterpiece, because you are something amazing, and the darkness wants to destroy it. Why? Because darkness wants to rule the world, man. Darkness wants to invade every aspect of our lives, of our fears, of our dreams, of our everything, our dreams, everything. But there is light, and the older I got, the more I realized that this light is real, this light is beautiful, this light is hope, and hope does float. If you've ever heard that expression, hope is like that piece of wood that Leonardo DiCaprio was trying to hold on to in the Titanic, but couldn't because he gave it to Rose or whatever, so kind of selfish. But anyways, that hope is that piece of wood where you're floating on when things are so horrific. And that piece of wood is a thing that might save you from utter doom, from self-destruction, from I'm going to say immolation, of like your soul or yourself or your physical being. A lot of people with anxiety and depression that goes unchecked do go to suicide. And suicide is scary because whether or not you believe in the afterlife or whatever you believe in, who knows, honestly, 100%, if you're a believer or not, what exactly is on the other side. We can read the Bible all we want and everything, but how do we know exactly what's there? So sometimes when I talk about faith, I'm like, you can start off as like insurance. One time I was listening to Martin Lawrence's Run Till That, and he said like, insurance is pretty much like in case beep. I'm going to say like the cuss word starts with the S, in case beep. Why? Because you're, in case stuff starts hitting the fan, you're safe, right? And who knows when that thing's going to hit the fan? I don't know. Like, why do we pay for car insurance? In case something weird happens, we're kind of covered, So in this case, in case something weird happens to us, in case we no longer exist because of some accident or something weird, what's going to happen to us? Do you want to risk going somewhere deeply disturbing for the rest of your life? Or do you want to at least have like a foundation of belief and hope in something that is better than death, And I'm going to tell you that in my I know this is about trichotillomania, but I'm going to touch on this a bit. In my third ketamine infusion, I was at 100 milligrams, and that was so high for me, but I actually felt like whatever that was that I experienced, it was like a personal hell. And I'm going to talk about this in another time, but in detail. But I could almost feel and sense a very strange loop of eternity that was so desperate that my physical body, I actually got up from the chair almost, and the lady had to come and turn off the infusion. So I was seeing something so horrible, so like, it was like an ocean that turned red and like a sunset that was horrific, and the trees started turning into veins, almost like I was looking inside my eyeball or like my retina or something, and there was a weird sound, kind of like, those like weird toys or like hammers that make a sound like, wait. I don't know how it is, but it's like a weird sound like, wah, 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 like that. There was like a weird sound like that in the background, and everything was pulsating, and I felt like I was like the interior of a cell, or like I was something, like I knew the beginning of time. I felt like the nucleus or atom of a cell, but I felt like this was hell. I felt like hell was forever. Like I felt like this was my reality, that my real life was fake. And I really was so scared. I was so scared that my heart rate was up. My blood pressure went sky high. Like, I was not okay. I was not okay at all. And so I would recommend, if you do ketamine, which I really loved the 60 milligrams. I liked the 80 and I hated the 100. But what I'm happy about with the 100 is that I got to see something that solidified my fear of Satan, my fear of the devil, my fear of, because I don't know, I'm just telling you right now, there's something on the other side, and it's weird, and you don't want to be part of it. So the sad thing is, so it's a bunch of things. Anyways, back to trichotillomania. Yes, I was going somewhere with that. See, I go like on these tangents, and I don't know if you kind of notice, but I bounce around. That's how my mind works. I don't know what the word is, but I think it's just my personality. Don't know if it's mental. Maybe it is. Maybe everything's mental because everything happens in your mind. And maybe sometimes things that are mental are actually personalities. I don't know. But this is me, and I'm live talking to you because I like you, and I want to make you feel like you're not weird. And if you are weird, then we can be weird together. So, yes. I think most people are secretly weird, and everyone has that weird thing that they do or they think that would be considered, oh no, so-and-so is so weird, like, things like that. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, I've known people that eat their scalps. I've known people that like scratch their butt and sniff it. I known people that like wear diapers as adults. That was, I don't know, like people have like different weird things. Some of them are more okay than others. But in this case with Trick, it's a manifestation of anxiety. So, which can eventually lead to, like I was saying, something really severe, like taking your own life, or something really like permanent like that. And the bad thing with pulling the hair is that a lot of the times, especially if it's from the scalp, it doesn't grow back the same. But there are things that do help hair grow, and one of them that has been scientifically tested by a scientific journal is peppermint oil. So if you had like pure peppermint oil in a spray bottle and you suffer from trichotillomania, you can actually use that. Also, if you research like a rice water, there's some kind of like, I think Middle Eastern or Asian a group of women, I think they're called Yao women. I'm probably saying that wrong, and I'm so sorry if I am. So what they do is they use like a fermented rice water and put it on their hair to help their hair grow really thick, really black, really long. And so I've been using, there's a thing called Biori, Biori, and it's like a kind of a shampoo bar, which I've never used before, but I actually love it. And it's made from that region where those women are at. It's also made from the rice that they use. So it's kind of like they infuse this shampoo bar with a rice water. And I'm going to tell you that I have noticed hair growth. The only weird thing is the places where I pulled my hair are like shorter than the rest, of course, because they're growing. And the bad thing is, since they're growing, sometimes I feel them and I want to pull them because I'm like, oh, they're like so wiry and thick. But instead, what I do is I kind of run my hand over it, kind of like I'm slicking my hair back. And that way I'm kind of like almost like kind of like how you would do to a cat or a dog or a bunny. You kind of like comforting yourself. So it kind of looks like you're grooming yourself, right? Like you're Fonzie or something, but really you're comforting yourself. So in fact, I'm doing it right now because I'm talking about the hair thing. So I don't want to start pulling and feeling around, like rooting around, finding the perfect hair to pull, and then it's not the perfect one. And the weird one about it is like when you pull one that you thought was perfect, you're like, actually this one's the one I should have pulled, and then you pull that one and things like that. So but yes, so with trichotillomania, since it's based on anxiety, one of the things, this is what I'm going to recommend. First of all, I recommend that you watch the series The Chosen. It's on Roku. Look it up on Apple Store. Look it up on the Google, the Android Store, Samsung, whatever. It's called The Chosen. If you don't want to watch the series, at least get the book. The book is called The Chosen. It's on Amazon. There's Chosen 1 and 2. Start reading it. Why? You want to make like a habit of doing something that's good for you. That's kind of like a meditation. Why? Because when you do these things, what you're doing is you're reinforcing positive thoughts, positive messages, and you're infusing your life with it. It's kind of like your life is water, and you're throwing fruits in it to kind of infuse it with flavor, infuse it with something good, something healthy, something nutritious, something that gives it color and life. So you want to do something different. Why? Because when you do the same thing over and over again, that's called insanity, because you're expecting different results. You want to do something different. Break out of your cycle, break out of your square. Do something radical. Something I've done radical was start a podcast to share these weird things with you. And apparently some of you like it because some of you are listening and some of you are writing me. Again, write me at Reformed Eve. That's my Instagram. Message me on there and I will answer you, I promise. So yes. So another thing that I use is something called Komuso Shift, Komuso Shift. And it's kind of like a special, it looks like a dog whistle, but it's like a special necklace that I got online. And it's for anxiety. So what it does is it helps you stimulate or calm down actually your, the vagus stimulation nerve. So it kind of like forces you to meditate, but like through breathing. So you breathe out and it helps you control the breath. And it's almost like, so if you smoke, you probably would like, I don't smoke, I've never smoked, but if you smoke, you would like how it feels in your fingers. It's kind of like a cigarette. So if you're like driving, if you're doing anything, like if you're meditating, you take a deep breath in and then you slowly blow it out from the little whistle thing. And then you start feeling this weird calmness. And it kind of, what it does is it guides your breath out. Because sometimes when we're panicking or full of anxiety, we don't know exactly how to breathe. We're trying our best, but we can't. So this thing kind of guides your breathing. So that helped a lot. Another thing that helped, again, was the low-dose ketamine. I would say to stick at the low dose, do ketamine infusions. I think Blue Cross and some insurance companies are paying for infusions at this time, especially if you have met your deductible and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's about like $300 a pop, which sounds a lot, but it's really worth it for the things that you feel, the revelations that you have during the infusion. Another thing that helped me was Zoloft. So I started off with Zoloft, 50 milligrams, and then I went to Zoloft 100, and now I'm at Zoloft 200. That has severely helped me a lot with my disorder, because it does help with like OCD tendencies. Even though I'm not an OCD person, I would not consider myself that. Zoloft has really helped me, and I honestly never thought I'd believe in a medication like that, because I was like, well, I have to know how it works, I have to understand it, things like that. But apparently it's working. So all right, so far the recipe for health is like, right now it's watch The Chosen and or get the 40-day Chosen devotional from Amazon. Get a Komuso shift, and this is you investing in yourself, okay? You deserve things. You deserve to buy yourself things for better health. So look for the Komuso. Look for the one that you can afford. Start breathing right. Also, Zoloft. If you don't have a doctor or something, I started off with a program called Lemonade. It's like Lemonaid. There's also one called Plush Care. So with those websites, what you do is you talk to an actual professional, tell them your symptoms, and they prescribe you something. But make sure you do research yourself, because one time I talked to one of those on Plush Care, and she didn't realize that I was trying to see if she can, that's a whole nother thing, prescribe something for like ADD, and she didn't know that Strattera was not on a controlled substance. I tried Strattera. It made me like super anxious, and I really, it was so expensive. Oh my gosh. It was like $600 or $800. And then with my insurance, it lowered it to like $300 or something like that. But goodness freaking gracious, it was expensive, and it was not good for me. So so what I'll say is like, sign up for Lemonade, sign up for Plush Care, one of those, and talk to somebody, tell them your symptoms. And if you can get Zoloft, you can try it. If you've tried Zoloft before and it's not for you, definitely try something, but you have to give it at least like a month and a half to work. Why? Because these things are kind of like building blocks. They have to build up in your body to have a maximum effect. I have a friend, and she takes her depression medication as needed, which is wrong. And then she's like, well, I don't know why I get headaches, and I feel weird and foggy in between. And I'm like, well, when do you take your medication? And she's like, well, whenever I feel like it, I guess. Not every day, because I don't want to be dependent. And I'm like, you're doing yourself more harm than good. You're doing yourself wrongly, really. You have to take it every day. So, but you have to pray about it. Pray about it to God and be like, please guide me. Please guide the counselor who's going to be prescribing, the medication to me, or the psychiatrist. So you have to pray. And it's very important to be spiritually in tune as well, because it helps you connect with something that's bigger than yourself. So then you'll realize that this world has hope, and the hope doesn't just lie on your shoulders. It can be shared, The burden can be shared. You can lay your burdens at the feet of Jesus. He can help you. You just have to open your heart, right? So, but yeah, so far I would say definitely do a daily devotional. Keep a journal of your thoughts. Get a Komuso shift. Consider ketamine infusions, low dose, and also consider medication. And for me, what worked was Zoloft. But yes, those are things. And I know like medication sounds weird, but it's a good starting point. But you have to take it as prescribed. But you also have to do your research. Do research on the side effects. Do research on everything. But and a good website to do research is if you Google NCBI. There's tons of informative scientific articles and journals if you're into that. So I do have to get going. I did write an article about trichotillomania, so I'll be reading it sometime to you. But I just wanted to kind of touch base with you that you're not weird. It's okay. Things can get better. I'll probably talk about some other tips and tricks that are mentioned online about trichotillomania. Until then, just realize that you are loved, you're beautiful, you're a masterpiece, and you're never alone. So God bless you, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.